How's it going, YouTube? Luke here with Lifestyle Offroad, and we have a little bit of a different project today. First, I haven't made a lot of content lately, so life gets busy, my other job's busy, just haven't had time. So I was just planning on making this like a TikTok series and then using this time to make a full video on how to install Lifestyle Offroad bumper, but why not make this a 2-video series, I guess you could say, and show you what I'm doing, because it's more than just a bumper. So in front of me I have a 2021 Bronco Sasquatch Black. It is just like mine, except it's Area 51. There you go. I am adding a whole bunch of stuff to it. So down here we have Lifestyle Offroad full skid plates. This is the skid plate you get with your front bumper when you order it. That just comes together. But then we are also adding in, we just threw a hitch on. We're getting ready, we're working on the wiring harness. If you've seen in my other video, I always run the harness through this tube, so it's nice tucked out of the way. This side is already hooked up. I gotta hook up that light, run the wire to the front. This is buttoned up. So this is the easy stuff. Honestly, the worst part about that trailer harness is that you have to wire it all the way up to the battery. It's not terribly hard, it's silly. Why couldn't Ford just put a plug and play back here like they do for all their trucks? So anyway, we also have this 10K winch we're going to toss in there, in the bumper obviously, and we're going to wire up some lights up on the cowl. So it's going to be a complete build, so to speak. In my opinion, this is what you need to get out and go four-wheeling. You've already got a truck that's on basically 35s. You've got front and rear lockers. Now you have winch capability. You have everything underneath protected. The factory gas tank skid isn't bulletproof, but it does a good job. And then you throw these on top of it. Like, you've got everything you need. You got factory rock rails that are surprisingly durable. Obviously, Lifestyle Offroad are more durable, plus they have the kick out to keep things off the body panels. But nonetheless, this is a really good kind of beginner package for you to protect your truck, protect your investment, and get the most out of it, because now you're going to have self-sufficient recovery capabilities. And what more do you need? So yeah, so stay tuned. I'm just gonna kind of do clips. It's not going to be like a full how-to, but we're going to watch this truck go from bone stock. There's nothing really done to it. It's just been driven. So we're going to now make a fully capable wheeler out of it. All right. So transfer case skid bolted up. Transmission case skid bolted up. And because this drops down below those bars, it does help protect them and keep things off of them. Obviously this is still vulnerable, but this helps a ton. So you're not going to twist the crap out of those. So there we go. Bumper next. If you've never, of course we're mowing lawns right now. If you've never taken off a modular bumper, there are 4 push pins. They simply just go here, here, and up there. Pop those out. Plastic covers come off. You get your 18mm. Nope. Must be 15. I swore that was 18. Okay. Why is everything on a Ford 18? That's a really good question. I'd like an answer, because it's the weirdest socket size ever, because they went metric instead of standard and chose the weirdest metric size. So here we go. 15. Alright, need the bigger one. But you're going to take out these bolts. Let's try this side. No luck. Alright, we'll get those off. Alright, probably not the best shot, but got those pulled out. What a weird angle. The bumper comes off. Well, I'm not forgetting anything. You just have to lift it over. And I think this license plate is holding it in. There we go. Holy cow. Alright. That factory modular bumper is really nice looking for an off-road truck. Whew, very reminiscent of like a Raptor type bumper, but I think it's heavy. The Lifestyle Offroad bumper weighs the same, if not maybe a little bit less even. So yeah, keep that in mind. We don't go to add weight, we just add protection and capability. So there you go, no more bumper. So getting to the start of the install, one thing that we do is some people choose to take these off. You don't have to, but that's what my instructions tell you to do. It's completely up to you. I have an aftermarket intercooler, so I had to take it off, but the factory one does fit. It's tight, but it's possible. So we do recommend you take the shrouding off though, which just with your fingers. It's a little push pin. I think there's 8 of them. And there you go. So add that to the pile. This pops off. Now you have clearance, but we're gonna leave the shutters installed on the customer's vehicle. So next, this hole right here, you need to drill it out to 1/2 inch. Our bumper bolts on with several points. I don't remember how many off the top of my head, but we use these. We actually incorporate a 4th, and then we go through all the way here. Our bumper is designed to not move. You're not going to bend your frame because we reinforce the crap out of it. So don't worry about getting those reinforcement plates. 100% not needed. I don't even think they'll be compatible. But watch as we drill a hole through there. 1/2 inch drill bit. Come over here. So there is a hole on the other side. It's already 1/2 inch, so it doesn't take much effort to get through this. This honestly is an old drill bit too, so pretty easy to get drilled through there. Okay, these are the bumper reinforcements. Part of why you do not need to install anything else to support the frame. So I'm going to be in awkward positions through this whole video. You need to get the factory ones out of there. So you can see those are threaded holes. Those need to go so these can go in there. So all you need to do is set these down. You need to get this bracket out, which it's just kind of sitting in there. I guess there's one little plastic tab holding it in. That's what I just popped off. Oh, this one has 2. I don't think mine did. Okay, so there's a little plastic thumb screw that I'm just twisting off. Yeah, this allows a much more firm, so take this and you gotta finagle it up in there. This shape matches this shape, so instead of hooking on the top, we go around the bottom. You just have to get everything in there to fit. Okay, you basically have to lay it flat. So these plates are, I'm doing this right now, it's flat. and then you have to rotate it up. So you just gotta sit there and mess with it a little bit. Then you can get this up in place, and you can even take this plastic screw and tighten it back on. Just extra thing to hold that bracket in place. So there you go. We'll repeat on. Okay, same thing. Putting those plastic little screws on. You can see it back there. So it just holds this bracket in place. So now our bumper, instead of just screwing into this face, it's sandwiching it with 3/16 steel on both sides. Actually, the bumper, I'm pretty sure right there is 1/4 inch. The plate is 3/16 in the back. So there you go. We are gonna go ahead, take these, put them with the bumper. Now if you go to sell this bumper to somebody that didn't have a modular bumper, you're going to be able to take off and sell them every single piece of the kit, so you're going to get more value out of the factory components. And those bumpers are pretty widely sought after, so you'll be able to get a few $100 back. I think I got 400 out of mine. So the bumper, the Lifestyle bumper, is it expensive? Yeah, but it's a good product. You pay for what you get, made in America, strong, light. I don't know what more you need. But anyway, you can get some of that back, like I said, by selling everything that was on your truck. Okay, I didn't actually use a 1/2 inch drill bit. I don't know what it was. I can't read it. Once you use a 1/2 inch drill bit, this bolt will go right through. And then you get to the back side with your washer, lock washer, and bolt. Oh, lock washer's on there. Washer and your bolt or nut. Wow. Thread that on there. There we go. All right, now let's see how this other side goes. Now that I know I have the right size, actually. Ouch. Okay. So, bumper is kind of in the way. Alright. Crash bar bracket. Lay that on top there. Hey, goes right through when you use the right size. Get on the other side. Tighten this up. Okay. Whew. Now you install your bolts on here for the crash bar, which I need to hire a camera person. Drop this in. Washer and nut on the inside. Don't drop it. Oh man. I could probably just put the nut in a wrench, tape it there, and this would take way less time. But I'm already running. Okay, so everything you put on for the bumper for now, hand tighten. You don't need it very tight. You can get to all of this later. Before we put the skid plate on, you can access all these bolts. So our brackets are now on. loose bolts. This was through. Everything's on the other side. So we have some heavy duty hardware here holding it on. And now we can get this bumper bolted up to the face, which those bolts are in the box. So bumper to frame bolts. Those out. So there should be 6 of these, 6 of those. Okay, hold on. Okay. So on the bumper, you need to go underneath and put the bolt up under here. So you can access them from under here. So it's pretty easy, but you need to get the frame aligned with this square. So this square goes inside of this square. So then you push the bolts through and you have your bumper lined up to the truck. Now, this is my soft top hoist, which for something like this is perfect. It can hold the weight of this bumper and hold it up there. And all I really have to do is shove this over to the truck, get it lined up, and push it right on, which it needs to be a little bit lower. So I have a little more room. Man. Okay. So let's maneuver this. I still might need more. I need more slack. Hold on. Okay. Move the truck closer. So now should shove this up there. Okay. Once you get those square parts over the frame, there's just enough to hold it there. So you can get the bolts in. Oops. And I suggest you get a nut on the back as quickly as you can. Whew. Ugh. Shoot. This is where you need 2 people. Here. Everything should be resting on the bolt. So there you go. Now I actually have a nut on the back. So even if this came out, the side cannot fall all the way to the ground. I'm on the wrong thing. Still on the wrong thing. Ugh. Whew. Okay. 3 minutes. That really isn't that bad. That felt like an eternity. So I have 1 bolt on each side. I'm gonna put the other ones. I dropped one somewhere. We get all the bolts in there and just loosely tighten everything, we want this to stick out for just a minute. Okay, so I've never worked on a Bronco that used that plate holder. Hopefully this works. That might be the thing that goes, or you might not even be able to see it once that's on there, but we'll get there in a minute. So these bolts are not tight, as you can see. This is the time to shove your winch in there. So as you can see, everything is going to be fairly easy to get to. We can still reach underneath and get to the bolts. So we've got to get those in the winch, pick it up, put it in here, and that's where we are at. Bolt your fair lead on first if you're going to put a winch in this bumper. Put the fair lead on while it's out. This is my first time installing the X2O. This is a 12K winch, wireless. It's got these little guards on here. I love these winches. They have never let me down. But I have the comp winch. I don't have this one. This one fits so nice, and this winch is not very heavy, like 65 pounds. So if you're worried about your suspension, keep in mind weight. Like I said earlier, this bumper is not adding any extra weight over the modular bumper. So now we're really only adding, call it 70 pounds over stock with this. The skid plates do add a little bit of weight, 30 pounds here, 30 pounds there. But all in all, we're not even 200 pounds over the factory specs on this vehicle. Something important to consider. So this winch fits phenomenally. And it's a 12,000 pound winch, 7 horsepower. Like I said, wireless remote. It works really good. Okay, I'm making a video. You got the winch in there, bumper's still loose. This is the time to put your cables in. The license plate in that location does not work with the winch. Maybe if this was super low profile. But anyway, we have this blue wire, which illuminates that. Not necessary, but if you're going to run it, now is the time. Positive, negative. And what I do is simply just tuck the wires under here, and then I chase them up through here. So we just have to find the hole to feed everything through. Okay, for running your winch wire, I have this stiff twist tie cable wire on the end, and we're going to basically run it right through here. So I'm going to try and feed it up over here. You're about to have to get ready, lady.
But maybe when I'm ready to go to bed, after that, can I ask you how once to play?
Maybe. Okay. This is the worst part because I can feel the wire, but I don't have enough to get a grab on them. Oh, come on. I'm almost there. This is one of those situations where my hands are just too big. Okay. Here's my twist tie. Cables. Alright, got this cable, and now it'll reach to the battery. Now just rinse and repeat with the other cable. Alright, so the bumper is on, winch is on, the winch is cabled up in there and under there, so that is done. I'm not sure if I'm going to hook that blue wire up for this light or not, but this is the point where you go through and you now tighten everything up. So this bumper is now very stable, but we now have to install the skid plate, which bolts into the bumper and reinforces it further all the way down. So we remove these brackets, and this sits in the skid plate. So look right here, all this you gain in clearance with this bumper. Very important. You gain a ton of clearance for off-roading. High clearance, lightweight, you cannot go wrong with this bumper. Okay, now we're gonna put on the basically radiator skid plate that attaches down here to the front bumper. So we have to remove these brackets, which this is just 215 millimeters, and this is what supports the intercooler. So you need to support that intercooler. You can usually run a strap around it. It won't fall all the way down because of these hoses. Well, you have to be able to support this because these pieces will actually drop into these brackets on the bumper. You have to bolt these brackets on the bumper, and the bracket needs to extend forward. There is a right and a left, but you have to bolt this piece, and these are your nuts, so that you don't have to put a wrench on them. They're welded to that plate, and then you put these through and just make sure the bracket is forward facing, and then everything will line up. So you'll have 2 bolts that go into the frame here. These 4 bolts go into the bumper, and then you'll have 2 bolts back here that will line up with the cross member. The bolts that you take out of these brackets, you do reuse in these side mounts. Everything else is included. So those bolts go back there. These bolts are for bolting this to the bumper. So you do reuse these bolts. Okay, the nuts for these bolts I went ahead and taped here just so they should be easier to track down. These side brackets, you want to leave them a little loose, which I don't have it loose enough, so that you can still have play here. And then what you're going to be doing is pushing this up there, and then these factory bolts, you're going to want to put those in here and bolt it to the frame, but you have to get these into these posts and everything lined up. All right, so now we have the bumper completely on, the skid plate on, front differential skid plate, everything's bolted up. For these bolts, you're simply going to just take your wrench up here, and you have to put the wrench all the way in, but then you can angle it to get to the back of that bolt. So make sure you tighten all 4 of those up, you tighten all 4 of these bolts up, and then you tighten these bolts up. If you don't have this skid plate, then you obviously tighten those up, and the factory skid plate does still work. So now we have the intercooler mounted in the skid plate for much more clearance, and you are now good to go. Something that I forgot to talk about was if you have proximity sensors. So one of them is going to be out here, the other one is going to be in here, and there is a hole up in here where you run the wiring through. You may get to the point where your harness doesn't fit, and if that is the case, so there's the hole that you run your harness through, and then you can see even deeper into the bumper where the other hole is. If your harness is too small, you just simply untape it, and you can pull some more slack out of it. So it seems to depend on what year your Bronco is, when it was made. We're kind of having like 80% of the people install these bumpers and they don't have a problem, and then there's 20% that do, and the years and all that for the ones that fit are all over the place. So I don't know if it's a Wednesday versus a Monday truck, but by just simply taking a little tape off, everything fits. So there you go. That is how you install this bumper. replace these